So, hello everybody. It is me, Demetra Kaye, and I am sitting here with Donovan, the recovering Democrat Sadiq, and it is the Demetra Kaye Show. We are not live. I want to say that again. We are not live because sometimes when I watch it back, I see people saying, "Oh, do you see me? Can you read?" So we're not live, but we'll be back live later on today at 5 p.m. Central Time. So stay tuned for that. So I'd like to say the purpose of the Demetra Kaye Show is to promote Black love, knowledge, and understanding of all things that go on in the Black community, to make us an even better people, with the emphasis on even, because we are great people, but we can always strive to do better. I'd like to say a big giant thank you to Donovan for sitting here with me. Of course, we do not have an audience, but we will later on. So we'd like to take this opportunity just to talk about certain things that we see. It may or may not be trending or whatever the case is, but just to have differing opinions and views on certain things. So we're going to talk about a woman. I'm going to show y'all a video who's very frustrated with our government and the things that are going on. Donovan has not seen it. I've watched it once, so I'll have to pay closer attention to it. And then we're going to have a conversation about it. As always, is to, be enlightening and try to see if we can come up with solutions here. So, Donovan, what's going on with you?
What's going on with me? It is hot as I don't know what, and the rent is high. The rent is high. So you guys, welcome to the Demetra Kaye podcast. We're great to have you guys back again. We are not live. So, but you can still add to the comments. We do read the comments and we get through that. Do us a favor. You have a scrolling banner down there. You guys know the routine: Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, check, money order. We take it all. That helps the content creator continue to do what it is that they do. Anything that you guys contribute to the show actually is greatly appreciated. Don't forget to download the African Diaspora News Channel app on Google Play and the Apple Store. You can download it, become a member, subscribe. You can see great videos from Vicki Dillard, Demetra Kaye, Brother Phil Scott, and a lot of stuff that's going on over in the African diaspora around the world. So that's a great way to do it. If you don't want to do it that way, you can also go to YouTube itself, become a member, subscribe, share on your platforms. And that's, to me, the biggest thing. Like and share. Share this on your platform, because there might be something that other people will see and they might want to look at it, and it'll help you in educating people about what's going on and what's happening, because like I said, the information, it has to be spread and shared and done that. So I haven't seen this video, but I'm getting kind of interested. I'm going to have my honest opinion, and it's going to be very honest. So let's get into it.
Yes, indeed. So I should say too is a couple of seasoned words in there, but we're adults, so I just kind of want to preface that before somebody said, "Oh my God!" I don't think it's too many. It's probably one or two. But yeah, as you guys know, that the election is coming up in November, and so I guess the temperature is really hot. Because you think about it, there's two people that's going to go into the White House that really nobody's in love with, right? When I say nobody, I mean the voters. Y'all, again, excuse my shirts because I'm losing a little bit of weight, so they're a little bit baggy. But anyway, so nobody's really in love with any of none of them at all, right? And it's kind of that lesser two evil talk. Well, I gotta go and vote because my ancestors, it's the American way, and all that other stuff. So this particular woman is going to give us her take on it. So here we go.
Every tired person, every tired American, every person that's out there right now that is sick and tired of the fighting back and forth, people not being able to be themselves over these sick, rich people. I am to the point where I don't even want to vote no more. I don't care about selling no Cheeto Puff merch. I am about to show y'all my real me. I won't even stop this video. I'm going to speak it all the way through, because what I'm saying right now is coming from my heart. None of us know none of these people personally, and every day all of them are getting away with crime while our people just rotting away in jail because they can't afford to get out. And I'm talking to all people, not just black people, not just white people, not just Spanish people, but everybody on this earth. If you are poor and you don't have no money, your people are sitting in jail all because they can't afford a bond, and these people are constantly getting away with evil. I don't want to vote. This is me being done with all of it. I don't want to vote. I want a new government first. It's done. It's a wrap. I don't care no more. I'm done putting pushing an agenda. I'm done trying to be a voice just for a lesser evil. No. We don't get away with the things that we do. We have to pay for it, so they need to too. And then we sit up here and turn each other down and fighting over it. Being mad at it and putting people to shame over all of them, and they're all damn evil. We're all oppressed. That's why we're fighting up here, because we don't know what to do about it, and they're in control. So no, I'm not voting until we get a new government.
Yes, indeed. And I think her name is Queen Petty on TikTok. So y'all heard her. She's echoed a lot of things that have been said before. I'm not voting for this reason or the other reason. A lot of people said that they're going to sit on the couch, which means that they're not going to do it. They're just going to watch everybody else do it, right? And see what happens from that point. But, you know, she talks about people can't afford to get out of jail. So I don't know if that's something personally she was speaking of, somebody she knows. But yeah, we know that there's a lot of states where people just can't afford to, you know, to bond out. And she talked about having a new government, right? She said she's not going to vote until we get a new government. Now, of course, we know the government is not just the president, but it's all of Congress and your city council. So, you know, she's right. There's issues in every fashion of government. And at the end, she says that we are all oppressed. Now, we talked about this last week when there was a white guy that we decided to feature, where he was saying that, you know, whatever he tries to do, it just doesn't seem like he's successful. He's a business owner, can't take care of his wife or his child. And he also said that it's not about color. It's about, you know, just people in general. We all need to stick together. And I know some people took an issue with the white guy. So what? I don't care. He's white tears. Okay, whatever. That's on you. But if you're knowledgeable, and I'm not saying that you're not, the Communist Manifesto, and I talk about that a lot, it prophesies that. But it's been prophesized even before Karl Marx and Frederick Engels said it. It's been prophesized. But if you know anything about it, this is what we're going through now. It's bound to happen. You cannot starve the 99% while the 1% does all the eating. Eventually, the 99% is going to get sick of it. So we're starting to see that unravel, especially in regards to the government. And she said, the government, they're evil, right? And we're supposed to choose between which evil that we want to be more, you know, less evil. Malcolm X said, choosing evil or choosing the lesser two evils is still choosing evil, right? So we're going to have a conversation about what she's saying, but we know that she is not alone. A lot of people, for their own reasons, are not going to vote. They're like, I'm done with it. So, Donovan?
Yeah, it's so sad because she's not, that frustration that you hear in her voice, in her face, in her actions, you're seeing that all over the country. And I'm talking about at the local levels. People are just imploding. But here's the question I have for you. How long can you squeeze something before it explodes or implodes? I mean, eventually, haven't you guys have seen that? I think it's a Discovery commercial where they have that machine that's pressing the paper. Talking about paper. And it kept pressing the paper and then finally the paper explodes. That's what is happening in the Western world, and especially here in America. You tax, you tax, you tax. Same thing that happened in the French Revolution. You tax, you tax, you tax to where the people cannot take it anymore. And they will have no recourse but to explode in rage, in violence, unfortunately, and whatever else. And this is the sad thing that I always tell a lot of my rich friends. You gotta throw some bones out there for the majority, or you guys are in trouble. And that's what we're starting to see, because people have had it up to here. But I do want to say this, and I'm not, trying to admonish her or anything. If she doesn't want to vote, that's her right. She doesn't have to vote or whatever. But I'm going to tell everybody out there, register to vote. Even if you're going to sit on that couch, register to vote. Because the reason why you need to register to vote is so that they can see how many people are opting out of the system. That is why it's important to register to vote. I'm not telling you to vote. I'm telling you register to vote. And that gives them a measuring stick to see what is going on in regards to our elections. I mean, it's already sad enough in the so-called greatest democracy in the world less than 50% of the people even bother to vote. So what does that tell you? When less than 50% of the people even bother to vote, and it's been like that for a long time, people have opted out because, again, the national elections, that really doesn't matter. The federal elections really doesn't matter. It's your local elections that really matter. But I live in a town of 200,000 people, and in our last election for mayor, out of 200,000 people, the mayor won with, I think, 14,000 votes cast. He won with 14,000 votes out of 200,000 something people for the mayor. So only a small group of people are actually making decisions on how to run and do things. But I don't, Demetra, it bothers me a lot because I've been in this country a long time, and it's never been about black and white, in my opinion. It's always been about green, money. Money makes the world go round. I see a lot of rich black people hanging out with rich white people. Jim Clyburn, him and his, fish fry, which is a good example. You give the people a little fish, and they're going to fry you a vote. You see what I'm saying? You got to give them something. But the small groups of people seem to get along when they all got money. They all seem to get along when they seem to got money. It's funny that when you don't have money, we start fighting each other. It's always been about green in this country to me. And I really do see the frustration on her face. It's just going to get worse and worse as we're getting closer to the elections.
Yeah, and I don't even think it's it's going to get worse and worse as it gets to the election. I think it's amplified because of the elections, because these things have already been happening for years and decades, right? We've been that and I say we talk about the American people, but especially black people, we have been that frog in the boiling pot of water for a very long time, right? Y'all heard the analogy before. The water is cool and then eventually it boils, and we just keep adapting. But it gets amplified when election comes, because it's like, okay, you get to hear these politicians lie, right? Oh, I'm going to do this, or I'm going to do that, or I feel you. I know y'all been going through this in the houses. Like, no, you don't, because you ain't been poor since you got into office. And then especially if we're talking about a lot of these Congress people, senators, they've been in office for decades. And so, yeah, maybe you were struggling when you first got in there. You think about somebody like Barack Obama says, oh, when I became president, I had student loans. You ain't got it no more because you're the richest president ever lived, that from what I understand. So they say those things, but it's like, you're just saying it. You're just giving people lip service. And so what happens is it reminds the voter, yeah, we are doing bad, but you're not going to do anything about it, because all you're doing is telling us you understand. But then when you get in office, you're doing something different. You are legislating a different way. We see you giving all the money that you could keep, domestically. We see y'all giving that away to other countries, or y'all opening up the borders. And I say y'all, especially talking about the Democrats, y'all open up the borders and y'all letting different people in. And so when I see that kind of stuff go on, it's amplified that I'm struggling. I'm working a 40-hour job. I'm making a decent amount of living. They're saying people with six figures are living check to check. Now, I know when we hear that, a lot of times it's easy for us to say, well, they need to do this and that with their money. And they nah, because I'm making six figures. I might have stuff that I need to pay for, but that's, like I said, I use my insurance going up all the time. How do you know I got that money? I didn't get a raise in the last 6 months. Like I'm telling you, my car insurance has gone up every 6 months, it seems like, but I didn't get a call from Geico and say, hey, we're going to raise your car insurance. Did you get a raise before we do? I didn't get that call. They just assumed that I got it. But a lot of people don't have it. That $50 every 6 months, it means the difference between people eating or people paying a bill or just surviving. So when we hear about it's election time, what we hear is, you know what? Thank you for reminding me how bad I'm really doing. Thank you for reminding me that you ain't gonna do nothing about it. Thank you for reminding me that, it's my civic duty. But it's like, what is your duty? If I go do my civic duty, what is your duty to me? Because a lot of these politicians have it backwards. They think that we're supposed to serve them. Like we heard Michelle Obama, she was mad because black people didn't show up for her, for Hillary like we did Obama. But it's like, no, you got it wrong, sis. It's not us to serve him or her. They're supposed to serve us. And the other thing is, we talk about register to vote, yeah. You should register to vote if you want to have a say so. I totally agree. But I think more the emphasis needs to be on, after you register to vote, vote correctly, because we don't emphasize that enough. That's why I say when we talk about the right to vote, civil rights. Oh, you got the right to vote. Yeah, you got the right to vote, but you're going in the booth and voting wrong. And then you cry about what you go and vote for, like black people. Us, we go in there and we vote for the do nothing for us Democrats all the time. And then we talk about, well, it was my right to vote, but you didn't do the right thing. So who are you really mad at? So while we're telling everybody, you gotta vote, you gotta register to vote, after that, you make sure you make the right decision, whether it's a personal decision for you or it's a vote for the collective. Because right now, as Dr. Claude Anderson says, we are the only group of people that vote as a block for our own oppression. Nobody else does that.
And like I said, I agree with you 100%. But I'm just saying, even if you're going to sit on the couch and that's your decision, register to vote if that's what you're going to do. I mean, again, they have so many trick bags going on in how to keep black people on the plantation. We talk about modern day slave catchers. That is what you're seeing the Democratic Party using to try to trick you to keep you voting for nothing for yourselves. I mean, they got all this money for all these other groups and nothing for us. So what do we do about it? It's crazy how I will talk about and ask people, what has the Democratic Party done for you? And they can't articulate it, but they will defend the Democratic Party until the memorial's end. Well, we're Democrats. We're Democrats. What does that mean? Oh, well, the Republicans are against the black people. Well, are they? Please explain to me how the Republican Party is against black people. Well, they're for the rich. But isn't the Democrats for the rich too? Corporate Democrats, you've got corporate Republicans, I mean, to me, there's only really one party. It's called the ruling party. Isn't it funny, and it's why I keep telling people, keep speaking and talking to people who might be ignorant of politics. Because let's face it, people only pay attention to politics every 4 years during the presidential elections. But keep explaining it to them. Say, well, wait a minute now. If the filibuster, which is a rule, can't be messed with, but you could get rid of the filibuster to raise the debt limit. You can get rid of the filibuster to do this. But when it comes to this, you can't do that. You see what I'm saying? Know what it is and say, wait a minute, these parties work together when it comes to, we got to give money to Ukraine. We got to get rid of a filibuster. Why did they invent the filibuster to begin with? To give the Dixiecrats power to hold up civil rights legislation. That's when it actually started. In the 1950s and 60s, that's when it actually started, to give the party not in power a device to hold up legislation for as long as possible because they didn't have the votes. Now, where this supermajority stuff came in, that's a rule. That's not a law. If you have 51 votes or if you have a majority in a capitalist system, it's supposed to be the majority rules. The majority, 51 senators is a majority in the Senate. But what do the Democrats do when it comes to black legislation? How many of you guys have heard of that one, the parliamentarian in the Senate? We don't even have a parliamentarian form of government, but it was the parliamentarian that stopped some kind of bill that was supposed to go through or whatever. They say, well, the parliamentarian said that you can't rule on that, whatever the deal is. All of a sudden, the parliamentarian becomes important. We got to understand how politics works. And when it comes to black people in general, both systems will do everything they can to deny us what other groups are getting. And you know, the sad thing is, Demetra, we go, okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we also need to realize that politicians nowadays, and they probably always have, but we're seeing it, realizing it more, they legislate for themselves. They don't legislate for us. When I say themselves, they legislate for people like them. That's the wealthy, right? The ones that's holding the cards and all of that, and they make us think that is for us. Oh well, you have a choice in the matter. No, they just need you to keep them in office and get them there. Then they're going to legislate amongst themselves, which is why somebody like Trump, he was there before he was even president or anything like that. He was still considered their folks, right? Your cat. He was still considered their folks being the wealthy. He got into Washington and was like, no, I'm not doing none of the stuff y'all been doing. I'm off the grid, right? I'm off the talking points. I'm gonna just wing it as I go. And so he fell out of favor with him. And if you don't believe me, go and look at old pictures of probably most of the politicians and all the people who are speaking against him now. They were all friends because they had something in common. That was the money. In fact, most of them wanted to be like Trump because Trump, back then especially, had more money than them. So he was the kingmaker, if you will. But nevertheless, yeah, they legislate for themselves. It's never going to be about you, because if it was about you, we wouldn't have no homelessness. You wouldn't have this out of control rent. You wouldn't have these insurance companies going rogue, raising your insurance whenever they want and justifying it. Because you got to remember too, not only do the politicians legislate for themselves, they legislate for the people who lobby them, like the insurance companies and things like that. And then they tell you, well, bend over just a little bit slowly. You ain't gonna feel it as bad, because it's still gonna happen, right? They're not gonna say, well, Demetra, we just raised her insurance. Let's give her a break. Let's ease her into it. They're like, no, here's a notice. Next month, your insurance is gonna go up. Call us if you have any questions. Like, okay, I could call you and say why you're doing it, but you ain't gonna not do it, So that's kind of where it becomes our fault. We need to put some pressure on these politicians. Nah, you're supposed to go in and I don't have a problem with you legislating for you too, or legislate, but legislate for me too, because I'm the one that's sending you there. I'm sending you, regardless of what office you hold, I'm sending you to give me a little piece of the pie as well. But the way it is now in America's upside down. You send these suckers to Washington, then you're like, can you please think about me too? When you should have been saying, all right, because when you go buy a new car, you ain't supposed to. You don't go and they say, well, we want $50,000 for this Yugo. Supposed to say, well, I like the car now, but we need to do a little negotiation. I need to feel good with buying this car. So I'm not going to give you $50,000, but I will give you something. But I'm going to give you. I think your mic is. You got some feedback. There you go. I'm going to give you something, but I'm not going to give you what you're asking. There's a negotiation. So we should have the same thing when we're sending people to office. All right, before I send you, what are you going to do? And as Dr. Claude Anderson said, we need to hold them contractually accountable to that, because once they get there, it's like, who's to say they're going to do it? And the other thing, and I say this about white folks, y'all can say whatever y'all want. They send somebody to Washington or wherever, the city council, and they don't do it. They're like, you're out of there. You won't be doing it again. So that's what we need to do.
Right. And I'm just going to give an analogy here. How many of you guys have ever gotten a credit card, right? They had good terms. They're like, okay, yeah, this is whatever, right? You get the credit card. And this is what we do. We get the credit card, oh, man, low APR. It's great, right? Yeah, the credit card, you're not even using it. You haven't even used it. 6 months pass. Then they send you this letter that tells you they have the right to change the terms of what you agreed to in the very beginning. So you went from a 2.2 APR. Now they put it at 26.4. There's nothing you can do about it, because they renegotiated on their thing. And that's what they do. And the funny thing is, like you said about the terms, and I never understood this. Like I said, being, raised military, whatever, different system, whatever the deal is. We call elected people leaders. If you're coming to me for a job, right, and you get the job, are you the leader? No, you're the employee. You're the employee. So why is it, and I'm just asking you, Demetra, because you know a lot of stuff. Why is it that in America, we the people, according to the Constitution, we the people, that's the preamble, we the people have elected representatives to speak for us and to represent us in our names, because I got a job, I got shit I got to do, stupid language, I got things I got to do, and we send them to Washington. Why is it that in America we use the term our elected leaders? That doesn't make any sense to me. A leader is not elected. A leader does not get elected. And a person that is elected is an employee. It is a representative. It is not a leader. The president of the United States is the elected representative of the people of the United States. We give him the power to make a decision as quickly as possible without 350 million of us debating something. When you have that many people, nothing will get done, right? We give that person the power. Why is it that, my question is, why is it that we use the term elected leaders? Isn't that an oxymoron?
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think if people really understood what leadership means, then they would look at it differently, because leaders also follow. Leaders also pass the torch. Leaders also train and teach other leaders or people to be leaders. And that way, when it's time for them to step back, whether they step back permanently or say, hey, you know what, you lead today, then that's what they do. But see, the way we are referencing these politicians and leaders, we have to rearrange how we think, because we're thinking they're the leaders. They have all the say so. We don't question. We just go along with it. But if you knew the true definition of a leader, as I just described, then you know that, yeah, they need to take some directions from the team, because there's usually people on the team that you're leading that know more than you. They just don't have the title, right? And so what happens is the politicians in Washington that we call a leader, they're the type of leaders like, don't tell me what to do. We've heard them say it. Joe Biden said, listen to me. They coming over here. Y'all need to learn how, instead of saying, you know what? Well, what do you think? How do you think we could do that? Because that's what leaders do. They solicit ideas from, and I don't like this term, but for reference sake, subordinates, right? People who may be following. What do you think? Do you think
advisors, right?
Yeah, well, not even advisors. It's just, I need your input. It's because that's how you show your team that they're valuable. You ask them. You ask them, what do you think about that? Do you think we should buy this or that, this, the other? Opposed to, well, this is what we're getting. Because that's what our government does. We're sending the money to Ukraine, whether you like it or not. Now, leadership is, like you said, you sent me to Washington to get a job done, to make sure that you're happy with the decision you made to go in there and vote for me. What do y'all think about us helping Ukraine? Of course, we're going to say, hell no, because I just passed 14 homeless people, on the way from the store to the house. So I think you should help them first. So they have, and Donovan, it's not even the type of leadership it is dictatorship. Even though we're not supposed to have that, we're supposed to have a democracy, or some people say republic, which I guess, but the way it's set up, even not just with the president, but with your senators, your representatives, your assembly people, they've made it a dictatorship. They made it because I said so. If you don't like it, too bad. When we
right,
say
and then there's no mechanism to remove them, like what you're seeing in Dalton, and you gotta wait either till the next election or whatever. Until then, you're just stuck.
Right, and then Donovan, you own a copious amount of stock. I own some stock as well, and they'll send you these voting things. Okay, we're voting for a new board or this, that, and the other. How many people say and just throw it out instead of saying, no, you are a stakeholder and they're asking you to vote on a board or a measure, whatever it is. And most people just don't, but it's like, you have, you're the people, you are the stakeholder. The voter is the holding, sorry if I'm freezing up, y'all, but the voter, say a stakeholder, you have a say-so because you're invested. It affects you as to what they decide to do with the tax money or whatever it is. It affects you, so you have a say-so. And if they're not listening to you, then they gotta go. Stop letting them Sheila Jackson Lee you, James Clyburn you, Maxine Waters, and Mitch McConnell's old mannequin self. Don't let them stay up in office until they die. And not you gone to glory, whether it's Shady Pines or it's down there, but you can't stay there no more.
You know, you know, it's just frustrating when you look at that, because what do you call it? A dictatorship? Yes, it's a dictatorship, but what kind of dictatorship? What's the definition of business and government working together? Fascism. It's fascism. That's exactly the definition. People don't know what fascism means. Fascism is business and government working together. The United States, we give billions of dollars to the arms manufacturers, to Walmart with the tax breaks. Look at all these businesses that work together with the United States for the betterment, not of the American people, but of themselves. And it's sad, you know, and I'm just going to say that this is my personal opinion. The presidency has been watered down to be nothing more than a salesman. He talks about their desire for peace around the world, and yet he's selling arms and tools of war for the arms manufacturers all around the world, but he talks about peace constantly. And that's what the presidency has been reduced to, just a salesman that's selling you snake oil and whatever you want to call it. And you know, people need to realize that. I mean, when are we going to take stock of government and say, you know what, just like other groups do, you don't do the job that we need you to do, you need to come home. We need to put in mechanisms that make it easier to remove these people. This is why a real parliamentarian type government is better, because when a vote of no confidence is put out there, new elections are immediately put up. And they have to form coalitions with groups they might not necessarily want to deal with. So a good example of what's going on in South Africa, the ANC had unilaterally control of the country because they had a majority. And in 40 something years of ANC rule, the country has gotten worse, which made the rise of these other groups that have come up. Now, for the first time in 40 years, ANC has to share power with other groups that might have a totally different objective than what the ANC actually wants to do. We don't have that in the United States. We play this game. What's that game? The shell game where they're moving the stuff?
Three Car Molly.
The Carmali. And the thing is, you have the independent party, let's say the Green Party, whatever. That's the third one. But both of these parties work together. It's you can't win. It's designed to not win. And the sad reality is, as we see what is going on around the nation with the homelessness, the businesses is closing, the mom and pop stores, and the rises of the corporations, I am seeing a repeat of the Russian Revolution, the French Revolution, all of the American Revolution, all happening all over again, because how far can you squeeze a person before they have no other option but what movie was that? It was Denzel Washington, John Q. How many of you guys have seen that movie, John Q? Great movie. Great movie. He should have won an Oscar for that one. But great movie. The premise of the movie was the man had insurance and they changed the policy on him, right? He thought he was covered. Hey, I got it, whatever. But he wasn't covered. But he loved his son so much, he was forced to do something that was probably out of character for him so that his son could live. And that's what I think a lot of people in the American society are being faced with. It isn't the fact that, oh man, I didn't get the Mercedes I wanted. You got some people that don't even have cars anymore. They don't have the money to fix the cars. They don't have it. And this is what's going to happen. History always repeats itself. It always repeats itself. Woe are those that don't know the past, because you're doomed to repeat it.
Absolutely. And, you know, we need to look at government as an organization, because that's exactly what it is right now. Within an organization, there are different roles. You have, as I said, the term subordinates, which means the people that are taking leadership, if you will, instructions from the leader and things like that. But as we said, it is upside down when it comes to thinking about Washington. But you're thinking about you as a voter, right? You say, okay, I like this person. I'm going to send them to office by voting for them. Okay. Now, what we fail to do as voters is to monitor and measure. Those are, business terms, if you will. We fail to monitor and say, okay, are they doing what the objective is, right? The goals and objectives, because the goal is, if I send you to office, you said you're going to, let's say, we know this is not true, but you're going to get reparations for Black people. Okay. That's the goal for us to send you. You're going to get it. Okay. Now we're supposed to monitor it. Are they walking reparations? Are they talking reparations? Are they moving toward that? Okay. No. So that's the monitoring. Okay. What we see is that we don't see no traction on that. Right. So what do we need to do? That's when you have to do what they call change management, right? Okay, because things are ever changing. So what do we need to do differently? Are we going to do a recall? Are we going to, next time we get a chance to vote them out of office because they're not moving upon that, right? And within that, are we letting them know, hey, you're not even going anywhere toward the goals that we sent you to office for? And if they're not responsive to that, and let's say they are, then we want to do what they call measuring. Okay, they talking about it. Now that they make some sort of legislation, are they trying to, bring it to the floor? Like, what are they doing? So as voters, we got to start monitoring and measuring the goals and objectives. And if we don't see them doing any of that, all right, the next thing we need to do is make sure that they're one term, or that they don't get the light of us again. They get voted out, and then we bring in new leadership that's going to do what we sent them to office for, because the objective, especially as voters, should never change. As voters, especially in America, we want a decent way of life, right? We don't have to want to work 19 jobs to put a piece of bread on the table. We don't want, the rent to go through the roof. We don't want to see our tax dollars go and taking care of everybody else but American citizens. As long as there are homeless people on the streets, I don't care where you are in America, there should never be a dime leaving here to go help anybody else. So that is our fault, that we don't measure and monitor the goals and objectives. We just say, I'm gonna vote for you. You're gonna go to office, and you do then. But what we do, unfortunately, is we let them just run roughshod. They do whatever they want to the point they tell us, hey, you listen to me. Donovan, there was a lady at the city council there in Moreno Valley who basically told you, y'all don't talk to me. I know best. I'm not, basically, she said, LaDonna, I'm not taking no instructions from y'all. I know better than y'all. And it's like, oh, well, why wasn't you talking spicy and greasy before you got elected like that? So.
And we handled her handily and got her up out of there quickly. And this is what people got to understand. We're the bosses. We the people, the preamble of the Constitution. You do not elect leaders. You elect servants. That's why it's called public service, public servants. So have you guys ever been in a government building, and the public servant is nasty? Go over there, do this, whatever. They shouldn't be talking to you like that. That person needs to be getting up out of there. You need to be putting in a complaint form and getting that person up out of there. But see, what they do is they get into the system, like you have federal workers. It's like a post worker. You get in there so many years, you got the union, and then they make it to where you can't get them out. They're going to leave when I want to leave. No, we need to change that. We need to change that, because when people know that, hey, I'm in this job, I have to act according to the ethics of the job. Like we hold the police accountable. We try to hold the police accountable to policing ethics. That's why qualified immunity is so important to get repealed, because when a policeman knows I could lose my livelihood and my family's future after being here for 12 years, hey, I'm not going to do something out of the blue because I can do it and the taxpayer is going to pay. I'm going to pay. It's the same thing with public servants. When we can hold them accountable, they're going to be, hi, may I help you today? Oh, well, I really don't know anything about that. Let me get a supervisor who could really handle that. That's something I don't really handle because I'm at this level, whatever the deal is. You're going to get better public service. You're going to get a better results when you go and ask your government, which is you, for help. A good example of what's going on in Atlanta, Fulton County. Demetra, I am shocked at the corruption in Fulton County. Fannie Willis, the DA, the one judge on the YSL case, the probate judge female. Here's a woman that, if you guys saw the video, she was arrested at a nightclub and charged with assaulting a police officer, whatever the situation was. If you saw the video, why does she think that she should get treated any different than anybody else that did the same action? And notice, if you saw the video, she kept referencing, call Sergeant so-and-so, call Sergeant whatever. What is Sergeant whatever going to do at this stage for you? You're being arrested and charged for this. So is this guy complicit in the corruption that might be going? When you name drop, when somebody's in trouble and they're name dropping, there's something going on there where that person that they're name dropping has some kind of power to circumvent what is going on. What makes these people think that they are subjected to a different law than we are? Now, we're not stupid here on this show. We know that money changes everything. It does. It does change everything. That's why, again, a lot of people, they have to go to the public defender. Do you guys realize 70, and don't quote me on the numbers, a significant amount of cases are adjudicated by an agreement between the DA and the state? Because if they didn't do that, a lot of people, our jails would be overflowed with people waiting for court dates. It would just be overflowed. So a good portion of our judicial system is done by agreements and plea deals. And that's how they get, and they shuffle stuff out, they shuffle stuff out, they shuffle stuff out. But if you know you're an innocent person, go get a lawyer, go get an attorney, and you will see the outcome of how things come out. I was falsely accused of a crime, and it was a civil matter, a civil crime. And I was in the DR at the time, and the lady thought she was going to get away with it. I immediately called my attorney. Demetra, what did I tell you?
You said a lot of things.
And Demetra told me what I needed to do. And I went, basically, I'm saying Demetra was my attorney. I called my attorney.
Oh, yeah. No, because I was like, don't let that happen. Because, Donovan, I tell you, Donovan be up here walking tall, talking tough. He's tough. Don't get me wrong. He's a man. He's tough. But sometimes he's tough to the point of, well, she's a woman. I don't want people. I'm like, take her to the mat. Okay? Make her tap out. She don't get to lie on you. She didn't think about her being a woman when she was lying. It was to the point to where she lied on this dude, where it could have cost him security clearance, and all of it just flat out lied. And she did it because she was a woman. Oh, I'm so afraid. And I know Donovan's talked about it before, but she physically assaulted Donovan to the point where it drew blood, and then when Donovan was kind of going back and forth, like, nah, put the white man on her ass. Then she gonna talk about go get a restraining order. Oh, I'm afraid of him. And this man ain't seen that woman in probably like 6 years, but all of a sudden, and she gets a temporary restraining order. I was like, nah, you're gonna have to fight her on that. And he did, and they threw it all out, and she owed him a bunch of money. But I was like, nah, don't let her, because she a woman, get away with it. Because if she was trying to cost him everything, So I was like, nah, that's what a man and woman thing don't count, because the playing field is equal. When she came up on you like a dude, and it's not like she swung on him, but she was trying to stop him from doing something. And in the process, a flagpole fell and hit him on his head, and it caused, it caused him to bleed. He had a bump and stuff. So I told him that, I was like, nah, she ain't got no skirt on. Because she stopped becoming a woman and a lady when she ran up on you for whatever reason. What it was she's trying to stop Donovan from recording, and she was being a big manly woman about it. And she had to dig in her pockets like she was a man when it was all said and done. I'm telling you, he made her pockets holler.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, when I was going to sue the organization, which I was, in that situation, what she was trying to do was she was trying to strike while the iron was hot to make her look like the victim. because she knew I was going to sue her. And, and that's how it pretty much works. But the point of the matter of what I'm saying is, we know there's a two-tier system here, and money changes everything. And if you don't have the money, you're not going to get the results that you necessarily want. You might have to do a plea deal, whatever. But if you can get an attorney, it makes a difference. And let me tell you this, if you've got a mouthpiece, which is an attorney, all you have to do is sit there and let the attorney do the talking. Do not interject unless the judge is talking to you directly. Do not say a word. This woman that we're talking about, when I went to sue her for attorney fees, because I was piling on to her, she blew her case because she wanted to talk and not her attorney. And again, this is a woman that wanted to be an elected representative, and we had to send her packing.
And not only that, Donovan, like you said, if you didn't have an attorney, who's to say that her, because she's a little older than Donovan, a sister, I will say that, a little older. Who's to say you didn't have the attorney and you show up? It probably would have worked, because I'm so afraid.
Yeah, I would have lost my Second Amendment rights. I would have to give up all my guns. Just all kinds of stuff. It was unbelievable. I'm in the DR, and the only reason I found out about this was, how you have those ambulance chaser attorneys. I'm sitting in my hotel, and I get this call. And he's like, "Hey, we're such and such and such and such. Do you need any help on your case?" I was like, "What case? What are you talking about?" And when I finally realized what was going on, hello, Demetra, are you busy?
He was mad as hell too. But like you said, imagine if you didn't answer that phone. Imagine if you didn't do it, and then she would have won by default. But she was just completely trying to lie on it. And it's like, nah, you take her ass to the mat. Okay, you rope-a-dope her. Cause she ain't a lady no more. Cause she didn't, like, I'm not one of those people. I get it. Yeah, I think there's, gender differences and different things like that. But she was not going to have no compassion for you. She was going to but they're complete lies. Now, I know who the lady is, and she's also one of those people. She tried to be the mayor 14 times, and people was like, "We don't want you, go away," But she's one of those very loud, boisterous sisters. Now, y'all know it's bad if it's coming from me, because y'all know I ride hard in the paint for sisters. But I'm not going to never lie.
I want to cut you off. It has to be bad if Demetra is telling the story.
I'm telling you, she was one of those sisters, and they all just bow down to her. She's just one of those just loud talking. Whenever she come into a room, she gonna take over. Like one time when, I was doing PR for the NAACP, helping them out and stuff, and they had this, your homeboy that threatened me at the Black History Parade, Asian representative. Well, I say threatened because I wasn't threatened, but I'm like, if you don't get your out my face.
Mark Takano.
Yeah.
First openly gay congressman.
Yeah. So he shows up to the meeting. It was an NAACP meeting, right? He's trying to get voters and stuff. And all these, it was mostly Black women. There's probably like one or two dudes. And they're all, they see a Democrat who said they just fawning all over the dude. Now, mind you, like you said, he is of the Rainbow Tribe. So I don't even know what you sisters was thinking. Nevertheless, we all have some questions, and she gonna walk in like 2 hours late. And so she sits down. They're like, "Oh, Denise." And so they're like, "We gotta let her go," because I think she was running for mayor at the time. She goes, "Well, I have 3 questions," and I'm petty. Okay, that might be the Aries in me, because I already had some questions to ask her. I was like, "Oh, you got 3 questions?" I gathered up my stuff, and I got up right in her face as she was asking questions. Like, I won't be here for you to ask no 3 questions. Because first of all these people was waiting to ask a question, but they bowing down to her. Whatever the case is, but she's a nasty, funky acting woman everywhere she went. She did not like Donovan. And she would say stupid stuff to him. "Oh, you're not going to win." Like, because he was running for city council, in a different district and stuff. But she would just say stuff like, "You ain't going to win." And all this other stuff. He walk in the building, her big old mouth. "There's a hater in the house. There's a hater in the building." It's like, lady, what's wrong with you? You are
and where was she from originally?
Chicago.
Kind of reminds you of the Tiffany Hinyard thing. It must be a Chicago thing, the loudness and the boisterousness.
yeah, and it's got to the point to where, and like I said, Donovan be talking a good game on here, but Donovan's really a cool dude, you know. And I think she took that for a weakness. That it's not that he was scared of her. It's like, because I'm not gonna win this. You a lady, for just the description purposes, because she didn't act like that. You a lady, you a woman, and if I go at you any kind of way, then I'm gonna come out the bad guy. You see, Donovan was beating up on that old ass lady and all this other stuff. So Donovan was careful of that. But I was like, no, you can't. She been doing this kind of stuff to you for years. And that particular day when she put her hands on him, kind of, sort of, was her thinking less of him, like, oh, he ain't gonna do nothing. Now, mind y'all, this is the kicker. Her man was there. Her whole husband was there, which tells you the nature of her, a usurping Bathsheba, Delilah, Jezebel type of woman, to where you would not, if you felt like Donovan was a threat and wasn't listening, why you didn't go get your husband? He's a big dude. Why you didn't say, hey, baby, I need you to go put this little Negro in the chokehold and tell him that I'm not playing with him? But she walked all past her husband. You can see the whole videotape and everything. Walked past the husband and gonna try to get Donovan together. You know, so when I see that kind of stuff, it's like, nah, you can't let her bully you because she thinks that you're afraid of her. Instead of she's misreading is that, nah, I'm gonna be a gentleman at all costs. Just because you ain't acting like a lady, that ain't gonna make me not act like a gentleman. And she gambled and lost.
Yep, cost her in excess of $12,000 when it was all said and done. $12,000. But the point of the matter is, here's a woman who interviewed for a job to be an elected representative, and she wasn't hired. She wasn't hired. And that's how we got to start thinking. We got to start.
Nobody liked her. The only people that liked her was them old ass ladies. No shade to y'all, but the other old ass ladies who was big up in her. And it's like, but she was not nobody liked her.
She came in with shady Chicago politics. She was putting flyers in the schools because she was on the school board, which other candidates couldn't do. I mean, she was doing a lot of shady stuff. And when I was exposing her,
passing out, but that's why she stopped liking you too at the Black History event. She wanted to campaign. It's like, you ain't supposed to do that here.
Right. And when I was exposing that, she just couldn't deal with it. And, again, we got to change the vocabulary that these are not leaders. They are elected servants. They are servants of the people, public servants. And it's not just our elected ones. It's even our public servants in the buildings that we pay for with our taxes. If they are talking to you some old nasty way, get the supervisor. These people must learn you are a public servant. Servant meaning you serve, not lead, you serve.
And let me cut Donovan off, because Donovan is not telling y'all. Let me tell y'all something. When this Negro walks into City Hall, they like, because they know he's not just showing up to just get us. Because some people go to City Hall and they're like, okay, that's Mr. Johnson. He mad about something today. He ain't gonna do nothing. They know when Donovan walk in there, he might have to walk in there 15 other times, but you gonna give me what I'm asking you for, because what I'm asking you for is legal. And it's my right as a citizen to come in here and make sure you, as the hired official, is doing your job. I mean, it's to the point to where these mugs be up in there shaking because they like, he talk about FOIAs and all this other stuff. Give me what I want. Every time I want, I will go file a Freedom of Information Act on your ass. I'm going to get it. So they know Donovan. So, and that's how we all need to be. You didn't go to office to be, okay, fine. If you don't get the white envelopes, cool. But you need to make sure that I, as a constituent, have what I need too.
And by doing that, my neighborhood and my area that had been neglected for over 30 years, all of a sudden, we're getting all of these resources, brand new lights and a new park.
Let me tell you, because I was at one of these events, Kaye. There's a park that's right down the street from Donovan. It's the Adrien Mitchell Park. Everybody within the Inland Empire knows who Adrien Mitchell was. Donovan actually knew her because they served together. She was one of the first service members from that area to die in Desert Storm. So they designated a park to her. And I guess when it first started, they had a plaque and everything to her, but some sucker stole it and probably, God knows what they did with it, but they stole it for years and years and years and years. It was missing. Now, mind you, Donovan was off doing 16 tours of duty himself. So, but when he retired, he was like, wait a minute now, what happened to this plaque or whatever it's supposed to be there? And, they tried to brush him off. He was like, y'all cannot call this park Adrien Mitchell and not have what's supposed to be here. And do y'all know they brought it back bigger, better, and stronger? And they had Donovan as the guest of honor, and he spoke in all of that. And they couldn't do nothing but say it was because of Donovan that we put the park where it's, in its full glory in homage to Adrien Mitchell. But had he not done that, it would still be missing. It'd just still be a park. So he made them do what they were supposed to do.
And,
But I say that to say, not to cut you off, Donovan. Like I said, Donovan be up here wilding. But I know who Donovan is. And Donovan is one of those people, he's like, nah. Because I know that people have knocked on Donovan's door. We heard that you're the guy to go to. And I kid you not. Like people, he ran for office for whatever reason. He didn't get to be city council. But that didn't stop people from knocking on his door. We heard you the guy that gets things done. And he'd be salty sometimes, like, well, damn, y'all ain't vote for me, but fine. What can I help you with? Yeah, y'all didn't, you didn't show up to vote, but what can I help you with? So Donovan does get stuff done.
My moniker is the Duke of Edgemont. I'm known as the Duke of Edgemont.
That's the moniker you gave yourself.
It's my kingdom. I come. You must come and kiss the ring over here.
Right, but he does do the work, and I think, the people who do the work, we don't put them in office.
Yeah, we don't put them in office, and the thing is, like I said, people, you got to understand. Sometimes I'll give you a good example. I'll go to the city hall, and they don't want to work with me or whatever. You may make me mad, right? And I say, okay, that's fine. You don't want to make me mad. I want to know. I'll write a FOIA, and I say, I want to know how many pins the county has bought in this fiscal year. They have to count me the exact number. I want to know how many thumbtacks the county or the city owns in possession from this state to this state. They have to count that. And so when I was giving them busy work, because I didn't even care, I was just writing it out. But by law, they have to answer that. And when they saw that I was playing the game, just like they were trying to shoo me off and throw me away, I put them to work. Then I started getting stuff done. And you could do the same thing in your cities. You could ask how many chairs are here? How many city cars do we have? What are the mileage on each individual car? They have to go out and get you that information. It's a lot.
I mean, I've sat in meetings with Donovan, and he made the city attorney and everybody else crack them damn books open so we could see where all the tax dollars are going. I've sat there and I'm like, they hate it. They're like, for one thing, who's this uppity Negro? But Donovan knows his stuff. He knows if I ask, you must show me. And they did.
Remember, they were like, well, we can't show you this bank account. The hell you can't. Open the bank account. Where do you bank at? Oh, we got this account, this account, this account. Let me see it.
I remember I wanted to choke Donovan one time because he had me in a meeting about 4 hours with the city's nemesis, if you will. What's his name?
Edo Benzivi, the emperor. Edo Benzivi.
I know I'm freezing up a little bit, but I wasn't trying to be doing all of that. I thought the meeting was going to be a half an hour. Okay. Donovan was like, nah, we need to see what's going on here. And he was there, and they always tried to buy Donovan off. But Donovan's like, I'm not for sale. I'm not going to be quiet. I know that the city is giving you a lot of money and you haven't done any of the things you're supposed to do with it. So show me where the money is going. That meeting lasted a little bit too long for me. I was like, all right.
But remember, we found out that he was the front man for the Trump brothers of Florida. We found that information out.
Yeah.
He's nothing but a front man. So we've got other people that live in a totally different part of the United States that owns my city here in California.
And the other thing to that is with politics, See, those politicians know the average citizen is not going to go through all that. The average citizen is going to be like, okay, well, if you, all right. But so I'm saying is it takes work. Like Donovan, he's got a million things he could be doing. He's good in his hood. He don't, if he's gonna be all right. So most of the stuff, if not all of it, he's legislating for everybody else. He's trying to get stuff done for everybody else. And so we got to stop being that type of the average citizen, if you will. We got to stop being the average citizen. Well, they said it can't be done. And Donovan is like, bullshit. I know that it can be done.
Hold my beer.
Right.
remember that one city council meeting? There was like $5 million in discretionary money. And we have 5 council members. Everybody wants a piece of the pie, right? I wrote the mayor and I said, this money should go to this area, all of it. We got every damn dime because my district was so far behind. And I kept advocating. If you look at my area right now, we got $700,000 homes 2 blocks away from me because people weren't saying nothing. Now they're like, oh, Edgemont's getting this, this is getting that. You have to be consistent and you got to keep your foot on their necks and let them know you're not playing. When I call my representative, or even if I call the mayor, they pick up. What can we do for you, Donovan? How's everything going? City manager, same thing, Mr. Lee. Hey, Donovan, is there anything we can do for you? Well, I just saw some trash over here by the way. Could you come and clean it? Done within 2 days.
Yeah, because they know if other than that, they're going to get a visit. They're going to get a visit because he don't live that far from City Hall at all. He don't. Donovan, he's like, hey, y'all doing what we having for lunch today? Okay.
I got my e-bike. I'm riding up and down all around. And then you got to play it forward as well as a citizen. You got to be an active participant in your city because that's where it affects you the most. When everything is going right. And I don't know if you were there, Demetra, I had told them, you don't want to see me at this city council meeting? You don't want to see me here? Do what it is you need to do, and I will stay where I'm supposed to stay. I haven't been to a city council meeting in about 6 months, maybe 8 months.
And I don't. Yeah, and Donovan is fair. He's like, I'm not really partisan in that way because a lot of those jobs are not really supposed to be partisan, I guess, but people are as far as Democrat, Republican. He's like, I don't care. As long as you're going to get up there and do the job. I don't care if you're Republican or you're Democrat, just do the job. Because, perfect example, the woman that he ran against, she's dead now, R.I.P., Victoria Baca. She was just one of those people who just eating greasy, right? Just getting it and not giving it. Well, lo and behold, again, she died and her daughter ran for her seat and she won. In fact, Donovan helped her win because he was like, your heart is in a good, right place and you want to do things and this, that, and the other. And she's been doing a great job ever since. So he was like, it was never about me not liking her mom. It was always about me not liking her politics. And so, like I said, her daughter's on there and I haven't heard Donovan say a word. So I'm assuming she's doing a good job.
She and I, people say, oh, you're a Baca supporter. And if I'm getting what I want, why not? Why not? And the neighborhood's better for it. We've got our golf course. We're living good over here. All the crime is on the new side of the city.
Man, you ain't lying. Because by just looking at where you live, y'all used to be Beirut, right? Edgemont. Listen, I had a boo thing over there in Edgemont. I was like, ooh. I was like 18. I was like, I don't know if I should be over here. It's kind of rough over here. But it don't seem like it's that way no more. It's even a joke. Donovan's talking about around the corner is the Carter. New Jack City is right around the corner. But Donovan is one of those people, to the average citizen, he may be, he annoying. He almost got something to say. But it's like, how you enjoy not running over these potholes? Oh, you like that? How you like the homeless people not washing their asses in the drinking fountains? You like that too? How you like not seeing these mattresses, all over the sidewalk? You like that as well? Because like you said, just because it's the poor, part of the city or whatever, don't mean it needs
or
to
the
look
older.
that way.
We weren't poor, we're just older. Mm-hmm.
Right. And like you said, now the place where they got those big $1 million homes and stuff, do you know in some of those neighborhoods, they got a warehouse right smack dab across the street from it? It's like, But y'all let that the city planning and your city council person let that go forward. And Donovan is like, there's certain things you can't, like you always say, you can build warehouses over here because we're closer to the freeway, but they're building them in places where it's bringing down the property value. Like you said, there's a lot of crime in some of those areas. I remember one time they was getting mailboxes broken in every day and stuff. But Donovan got the old school mailboxes where you walk out to the curb and you put the flap down. I ain't never heard him talk about nobody stealing up out of his mailbox.
Our neighborhood is an older neighborhood. It's nice and quiet over here. Everybody knows what's happening. And of course, I ride my bike around the neighborhood. So when I see things that are out of place, there ain't no graffiti over here. And if it is, I call it in. It's done. It's handled. You know, so
see, they call Donovan, or I think we call him that, the block captain. He sees something going on, I'm telling you, because you know, unfortunately in California it's a little bit different. You got people who are truck drivers and they want to bring their big rig and park it on the yard. And Donovan's like, nah, you not finna do that on this street. You can park your where it's supposed to go, but you're not parking over. I don't care if it is your grass. We don't do that here. And so his block it's a well oiled functioning machine, because he's like, I'm not going to be that neighbor that's like, well, I'm going to stay in my house and then let the neighborhood just get dilapidated. So his neighbors at first didn't really like him, but now they respect him because it's like, no, y'all not going to just be doing any and everything over here. So
when in Rome, you're supposed to do as the Romans. I understand you came from LA, Long Beach, where Mexico, it don't matter. I've been here for a very long time, and this is how we do things. This is how we're going to do it. And until I'm gone, we're going to continue to do it this way.
And not only that, you're one of the longest, your family is one of the oldest, not oldest like chronological, but oldest family in Moreno Valley. Like, so y'all been there probably the longest.
Yeah, we predate me in Moreno Valley, right?
Yeah, so it's just about taking pride, but like you said in closing, letting the people know that you sit in the office, you're gonna do what we say do. This ain't no job where you just up there just running roughshod. You're gonna do the will of the people.
And taking a check that you're not working for. That ain't happening. Like I said, if they want to play those games, I said, give me the count. And they hated it because they were like, oh my God, it's gonna take us a couple of weeks. Because by law, they have 10 days to respond, and then they can get an extension. And I just kept giving them work. And then they were like, okay, look, what is it that you really want? And I was like, okay, this is what I want. And then we handled it.
And in closing, I remember Walter, he had a meeting with the mayor. And Walter thought he was finna, do some name dropping so he could get what he want. He's like, oh yeah, Donovan, that's my friend. We went to high school together, and the mayor was like, Walter said, you would have thought I mentioned Michael Myers or somebody. He acted like he saw a ghost. So he was telling me about it. He says, I'm waiting for him to return my call. I said, oh, he ain't gonna return your call. I said, you might as well mention Michael Myers. I said, because Donovan be in his ass every chance he gets, and he never called him back. He's probably like, oh, hell no. You know, Donovan, can't help you.
Right. And then, in closing, remember the majority leader in California being the assembly, Eloise Reyes. Remember, we went to her meeting and stuff. I have her here. Corey Jackson, another assembly member. I mean, these people know me. Even our Congressman Mark Takano, when he comes back from Congress, he sends me a dedicated email of bills that he was involved in and what was going on and where he's going to have a town hall meeting. And like I said, you got to hold them accountable and let them know, hey, I don't know what these people are doing, but for me, this is what you're going to do. And if we start doing that as a people, we will get better results as a nation.
And you know why Mark Takano started doing that? Because he was watching because me and Donovan ain't new to this. We've been talking about politics and stuff for a very long time. And no, they would get wind of it. All the local politicians, they saw and heard the stuff we were saying. And we're like, we just want you to do your job. So when I was at the Black History Parade and I was standing there by myself, he walks by, he looks at me, he says, we're not going to have any trouble, are we? And I looked. I didn't answer. I'm like, I don't even know how you want me to answer that. And he said, you have a good day. I said, you have one too. But I'm not scared of you. I'm going to say what I got to say. If you ain't doing your job, then I'm going to say you ain't doing your job. And first of all, you at the Black History Parade. Don't be pushing up on me, homeboy, because I know a lot of people out here who will rearrange your understanding. Okay.
Yes, for those of you guys don't know, Demetra and I have been doing this for a very, very long time. Started our podcast. We were doing it up at the Starbucks for a while, for a little bit up there. We started, Starbucks at the house and stuff, and we were just start talking about people. And then when wind got and people started listening to what we were saying, them politicians started listening too. And that's where the fear comes in, because when you start exposing them, that was it. They were done. What can we do for you?
Exactly. And I should say too, we really started doing podcasts and stuff because, like I said, don't be letting Donovan sit up here and fool y'all. He made a podcast, Loving the Skin I'm In, for Black women. Now, I wasn't originally going to sit on it. I was just going to kind of guest star or whatever, or I didn't even say star, not like that. I was just going to come every once in a while, because you had two other women that was supposed to do it. They did it once, it didn't show up. So when I showed up, I'm like, where everybody at? And you're like, so that's how Donovan and I started doing this, because they stopped showing up, and we was like, all right, well, this is kind of all right. So that's how we started, podcasting. So like I said, Donovan and I've been doing this for years. So, but that's how it got started. Out of Donovan's like, let me give these sisters a platform, to say what they want to say or whatever the case is. And the sisters didn't show up. So I did.
It started getting real.
But I'm saying he invested in the equipment and all of that. It was, and like you said too, especially when election season would come, we were at Walmart. It was windy. You can hear the shoosh. He had the little wind blockers and stuff, but it was still windy. But the point is, we were still out there. He would invite candidates to come, and at first they were like, "Oh yes," because they knew Donovan. See, one thing I will tell y'all about Donovan is those politicians knew they had to come and see. Y'all think I'm lying? Go look it up. They had to go sit down with Donovan because they needed him. They need to be in his good graces. They knew that, right? And then plus me, y'all know I'm deadly. So, because a lot of times Donovan would just give me the information. I'm like, oh, word? Okay, yeah, we're going to talk about that. So they would come and they would sit down. It's like, oh, no, well, we need your help and all this other stuff. And so they didn't, because they knew if we got a hold of them, it was a wrap. Because Donovan and I, one thing we're good at is when we see a new politician, I shouldn't be telling y'all all this stuff. I ain't going to, because, it's still a little formula to it. We're like, we got to define them. Do y'all know how many times we have defined a person, a candidate, and the name has stuck? Like there's one brother, he was an implant. He was trying to run, I don't know, was a mayor or a city council seat or something. But he, had a little real estate in the city, but he lived somewhere else. But he always talk about his football career. It was like 2 seconds long. So I was like, we call him Al Bundy. And that's the name that stuck. We got really good at defining people where they could not outlive that definition. Like, what is he going to talk about?
He was given over $50,000 by the developer that owns the city, and he lost significantly because I kept bashing him.
Remember
with facts. Facts.
Oh yeah, it was all facts. It was not no hate or nothing. It was all facts. But remember, we went to the mixer that they was having. See, that's one thing we would do too. It was kind of us trolling them a little bit. We would go to all these mixers, and I can't believe they came. And we wouldn't sit with them. We'd just walk through and go sit on the patio or something.
Would be shaking in their boots, man. They'd be like, oh my God.
What we talking about today? What we doing? The wings over there? Okay, cool, bet. Yeah. See, Donovan, this is when we knew it was real, because he was actually running for city council the first time he was running. And we went to the other candidates mixer. He's still a constituent. He ain't on the seat. It's his right to go. Man, her campaign manager came out there. Well, you can't stay. Because when we showed up to sign in, the campaign manager's brother, the lady was running. He was like, Donovan? Donovan said, yeah? What are you doing here? He says, I'm in her district. I'm a constituent. I came to see what she was talking about. It was her campaign kickoff. Oh, well, I don't know if she's really going to be comfortable with you here. Now, mind you, this was a fluke. Donovan thought I ran off. Something that got in my eye and I couldn't concentrate. So I went to the bathroom. I was like, oh shit. It was like an eyelash or something got in my eye. So by the time I came out, Donovan's sitting at the bar because they wouldn't let him in. It was at this restaurant. So I joined them. And then her campaign manager comes over and was like, well, you can't stay. So I was like, why? Oh, he's making her uncomfortable. I said, what does that mean? What do you mean he's making her uncomfortable? Because I knew what she was getting at and she knew where I was going. And she knew I was saying, why? Because he black? Why is he white? He ain't did nothing to her. He hasn't said any. Well, he says things about her on his little his show. And said, is that his right to do that? Well, I'm just saying, if you guys start trouble, we're gonna kick you out. We're like, all right, whatever, beat it, chick. She didn't know.
And I wanted them to kick me out because that's a bad look. I'm a constituent and you're kicking me out and I didn't do anything wrong.
The bartender's like, y'all drinks are free. He said, she's a bitch. The drinks are free. And then Donovan, he raised them one more. As we was walking out, he told some homeless people, hey, you can go get some free food at that restaurant. They're having a mixer. He was like, yeah, all right.
Man, we had some fun times, but that is how we made our claim to fame and we really got started in knowing. And the funny thing is, if you saw Demetra somewhere, people are looking for me and vice versa, because we would always go to these things together. So yeah.
But yeah, you got to stay involved. You're supposed to make them shake. They're supposed to shake when they see you, like, okay, not because you're doing some dumb stuff, but because you're really holding them accountable. They're supposed to think, all right, let's button up. Here they come. That's what they supposed to think. You are the boss, not them. So anyway, we're going to get out of here. We're going to be back here at 5-ish Central Time. I don't know what we'll talk. Oh, I think I know what we're going to talk about. But nevertheless, it is going to be interesting. So in the meantime, you guys have a great rest of your afternoon. And we will see y'all in a few. I done busted a sweat laughing, thinking about all that. So anyway, we'll see y'all in a little bit. Peace.